Hey, what's up? It's Jerad with Ditch Auto, and I'm going to teach you how to back up your images from your camera to your Samsung Galaxy S9. And this is going to work with a few different generations of the S phone, also with the Note, basically any of the Samsung phones that allow you to connect an external device to it. It's going to work, but I only know for sure that it's going to work with the S9, the S8, the Galaxy Note 8, and for any of you crazies out there that might still have a Note 7, it would work there too. Those are the only devices that I've actually physically connected USB devices to and actually had it work. So what's cool about this, and the reason that we're going to do this, is because when you're out in the field and you're shooting and you have your SD card here, and a lot of people are looking for options to actually back the images up off of their camera so they have them in two different places. So if you have your images on your camera on the SD card, what are your alternatives? Well, you can carry around a laptop with you and you can copy them over onto a laptop, or you could buy one of those expensive devices that are made for backing up images from your camera, or taking the SD card out and putting it into something else. I mean, there are lots of options as far as how to back up your stuff, but what about how to back it up to the phone that you already have in your pocket? Now, my Galaxy S9 Plus here has a 64 gigabyte SD card in it, and I have another SD card, micro SD card that I just got, a 128 gig one, which would hold a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a pretty big card, and you can get 256 gig cards, SD cards, micro SD cards, but they're still a little expensive. I'll make sure to link to all this stuff down in the description below. So I have a couple of photos on my camera. This is the A7 III, the Sony A7 III. In my camera is a 64 gig card. There's only a few photos on there for the purposes of doing this example here. So what you're going to need, because in this camera we have we actually have a USB Type-C connector. If your camera is a little bit older and you only have like the micro USB, then this is just fine, but you need the appropriate cord to go from your camera to your phone. And so because this has USB Type-C, my phone has USB Type-C, I can just use a USB-C to USB-C cable and go between the two. But if you had a slightly older camera that had micro USB, you would need a micro USB to USB-C cable for your phone. Or if you're using maybe a different type of camera, you just need the appropriate connection to go between the two. And you can get short little cables like this on Amazon. I'll link to several different ones below. And then you just need to look and see which cable you're going to need based on what connection you have on your camera and what kind of phone you have. But the last couple of generations of the Samsung Galaxy phones and the Note line of their phones have had USB-C. And the reason that I'm focusing on the Samsung phones here is because the Samsung phone lets you put a micro SD card in it, whereas a lot of the other phones these days are not allowing for expandable storage, and so it's hard to use your phone as a backup device because you don't have a whole lot of storage room on your phone. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect our camera to the phone, and we're going to copy over all the images that are on the camera to the phone. So now we have our backup in two different places. And then what's cool with the phones is that you can actually then use your cloud service, whichever one you're using. Maybe you're using Google Photos or OneDrive or any of those cloud services to then back up your images to the cloud. But we'll talk about that at the end. Let's take this one step at a time. So I've got the port off the side of my camera here. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the cable to that. I'm going to make sure that my camera is turned on. And so I'm doing this from a Sony, but most cameras do allow you to connect this is basically like I'm plugging my camera into my computer to copy images. So if you have a Canon, it's going to work. If you have a Nikon, it's going to work. But you do have to put your USB into MTF mode, I think is what it's called. So on this camera in particular, I have options here for the USB connection. By default, it was set to auto. Now I need to put it to MTP, which is for transferring files to another device. Mass storage would be making for when you connect it to the computer, but you don't even have to You can leave it in auto if you have a camera like this and you connect it to a computer. The phone so far is the only one that I found where you actually have to be specific. So now that I have that connected, I'm going to go ahead and unlock my phone. And I just have to have my phone unlocked. I'm going to go ahead and plug the cable in. And it's going to automatically, as you can see, go into that MTP mode here. And it's going to ask me for an application to use with my USB device, my camera. Now you're going to want to choose downloads and choose always so that it always opens it up in the downloads app. And you can see here that I have my folder now. It says my camera name, my 7 Mark III storage media, and it gives me the date of the images. Like the images, there's just a few images I took today. If you had images from multiple days, there'd be multiple days worth of folders here. So I want to copy the whole, I can go and look inside the folder and you can see my images. I have both the RAW and the JPEG images there because my camera was shooting in RAW plus JPEG. So first thing we need to do is actually select the images or select this folder. So we're going to tap and hold and you can see that it is selected. We'll go up to the little menu here and then tap copy to, and it's going to ask us where we want to copy it to. Over in the top left-hand corner, we're going to tap here and then choose our SD card. And now you can see we have our SD card here. I can create a folder if I wanted to. So top right-hand corner, new folder. I'll call it camera backup. Okay, now we're in that folder. Tap copy, and it's going to go ahead and start copying. Now it's going to show us in the notifications here that we're doing some backup, and so the copying of the files is taking place. It says that it's still connected to that camera and that the files are backing up. And so this process may take a little while. Like if you have hundreds of images on your camera, this process may take a little while. So you're going to want to make sure that both your camera has a good charge and your phone has a good charge, because it's hard to actually plug either one of these into the charger and do this. So I recommend not trying to do like 1,000 images or whatever. Only back up what you need to your phone, because I'm really only backing up like I think 8 images, but because they're both RAW and JPEG, there's like 16 images I think, and it's taken this amount of time just for 16 images. So now that is backed up, and I can actually disconnect the phone from my camera, and I can go into the image gallery on my phone, and you can see those images are there. Actually, that was only 4 images. Now I get the little icon here saying it's like an exclamation point because the phone itself can't actually read those RAW images, but the RAW images are there. So I could see my JPEG images. So these are I just went and took some pictures of my mining rig computers, but I also have those raw images there as well, which is great. So now they're backed up, and I can also go in the My Files app. I can then go to the SD card, I can go to camera backup, here's the folder of today's images, and you can see I've got the raw images and the JPEGs, and some of them are big. Those are 24 megabyte images, and then the JPEGs are like 7 to 8 megabytes in size, and so that's quite a bit of data that it was copying over there, so it's going to take a little bit of time. But now I have a whole backup, so it's great that they're on my camera still. If I go and import them to my computer, I'm going to take the SD card out of my camera and put that in the computer. But for safety and security, I have them backed up to my phone now. Now, if you want to back these up to the cloud, that's another option for keeping your images safe. So for me, I use Google Images because Google Images gives me unlimited photo backup for free. They're not the original images. There is going to be a little bit of compression, but for me, that's a backup that I'm willing to have. That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because at least I have a backup. So what you're going to need to do is go and open up the Google Photos app. It probably came pre-installed on your phone. If it did not, go and download it from the Google Play Store, and then open it up and sign in with your Google account. So you're sign in with your Google account or create a Google account, and I have a bunch of other photos in here already. If I tap on albums, you can see under photos on device, I have some folders here. Here's a folder right here of those images. because those are on the SD card. Now I can turn on backup and sync, and Google's going to back up those images to the cloud for me, and they'll be backed up. Now, if you are going to do this, you'll want to make sure with these big files to make sure that you are not backing up over your cellular data, because if you don't have unlimited cellular data, you may wipe straight through that. For example, if I had 20 gigabytes of images on an SD card here, and I copied those over to my phone, and then I backed those up, and it backed them up over my data plan, that would eat up 20 gigabytes in data. And even on an unlimited plan, you only get a certain amount of data before they start to slow you down. So you want to make sure that you are not using your cellular data for backup. And if you want to assure that, you can go into the menu here and go into settings, and then I believe it's under backup and sync, and then cellular backup, and you'll want to make sure cellular backup is turned off. So cellular data backup turned off. That means the only time that this is going to back up to the cloud is when it's connected to a Wi-Fi network. When it's connected to Wi-Fi, then it goes and does the backup. But personally, I don't necessarily think that you need to do that. That's kind of overkill, in my opinion. Now that my photos that I had on my camera are backed up to my phone, I have my photos in 2 different places. You know, when I used to shoot events and I wasn't done for the day, like maybe I shot an event and I wanted to go get dinner or something like that, I would take my SD cards out of my camera and I would keep them on me. And I'd be carrying around SD cards and a little SD card holder in my pocket. And if I was to do this instead, copy all my images from here over to my phone, then I have all of them on my phone. I can leave my camera in my camera bag. I don't have to take my SD cards out. I don't have to worry about that. So it's another way of me backing stuff up. And alternatively, if I wanted to then go and even edit some of these photos and maybe share them on Instagram or something like that, they're already on my phone. So I can go and open them up in whatever photo editing app because they're here. I can open up this image and I could start to edit it and do like whatever I wanted to do to it, and then post it to social media from my phone. So those images are even ready to now do other stuff with. So it's just cool that you can do this on the Galaxy S9. Of course, you can do this on a lot of Android phones, but the fact that the Galaxy S9 allows you to do expandable storage with a micro SD card, it gives you enough storage space to where you can actually make use of that. So, I mean, say worst case scenario, I have my phone on me, my camera gets stolen or broken or whatever, I lose everything here, I don't even have this SD card anymore. Because I copied my raw images over, and even my JPEGs, I copied both over to the phone, I can take the micro SD card out of here, I could put it in my computer, and I can copy all those images over to my computer, and it's like I never lost anything at all. And then when I'm done, when I know that I don't need those images anymore, I could come back to the My Files app here, go into the SD card, go into my camera backup folder, tap and hold here, tap on delete, and then delete those images off of my phone to free up space again. So a very cool solution. I mean, companies make solutions like this, and you have to pay $100, $200 to be able to do this. But with the Galaxy S9, you could actually do it right from your phone just by having a cable. So check out the links in the description below. I've got links to the different cables that you might need. I've got links to some micro SD cards for your Galaxy S9. And if you're considering a Galaxy S9, I even have a link to where you could pick one of those up on Amazon. Anytime you click one of those links, it helps support our channel here. I'm not about like pushing products or anything like that. I'm about pushing solutions. And when I can find a solution that works like this and something that actually adds value, I think it's really valuable and it's worth sharing with others. So that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to click on the like button if you enjoyed it. Share it with another photographer friend who might find this useful. And then, of course, click on that subscribe button so that you can be notified when we put out new videos. Until next time, thanks a lot, and we'll see you back soon on Ditch Auto.